What's up YouTube, and welcome to the Anabolic Outpost. And today we have a recipe spin-off of one of the holy grails of junk food, and that being pizza. But this spin-off is arguably much more simple, and it has been done before, but today we are going to be making anabolic pizza bread. It's a great way to get that pizza craving in, and it's also a little bit more simple to make than making a full-on anabolic pizza. Although I do have a regular pizza recipe that's already uploaded to my channel, so you could bounce back and forth between these two recipes and you will always be able to solve your pizza craving. One thing that a lot of people don't know about pizza is that there are only a few swaps that you have to make to turn it into a healthy, low-calorie meal that's also very high in protein, and I really want to take away the stigma that pizza always has to be unhealthy. So let me quickly show you the ingredients that you will need to make this, and also demonstrate the quick swaps that I was just referencing. The first ingredient is going to be the bread of the pizza, and I'm going to go ahead and go with sourdough. Feel free to get creative if you think something else fits this better, but sourdough gives it a nice crunch and also has a decent amount of protein in there for something that's supposed to be a carb source. Next, we have fat-free mozzarella cheese. This quick swap removes a ridiculous amount of calories and also makes the macros on this essentially 100% protein. I'm going to top it with turkey pepperoni slices, another fairly lean protein source. This is the pizza sauce I'm going with. Really, any brand works, just try to find something that's sugar-free. And then to season it, I'm going with some Italian seasoning and some powdered garlic. Before we get into making this recipe, I'm going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Hopefully you get lucky enough to find some sourdough bread that's already pre-sliced, and unfortunately you're just going to have to slice it yourself and then weigh it out. And for the purposes of this video, I'm going to give all of the ingredients if it were making one pizza bread, so you could go ahead and adjust it for how much bread you're going to use, and then from there you could determine how much ingredients to weigh out. Because obviously each bread slice isn't going to be the same, so you're just going to have to do the math if you're counting calories yourself, but for the purposes of this video, each bread slice is going to be 30 grams. I am personally making 6 for myself, but this is kind of like a snack and I'm not extraordinarily hungry. But I would say about 6 to 10 slices if you're planning on making a meal out of it. Before we get to putting the toppings on these pizzas, we're actually going to go ahead and toast these pizza breads. And we're only going to go ahead and bake them for 3 minutes. The 3 minutes is up, so I'm going to go and take these out. And in case you're wondering what I'm using, this is a pizza pan and it has the holes in the bottom of there. In my opinion, it makes a lot crispier crust and overall better pizza. But it's no big deal if you don't have one of these. You could just use a regular baking sheet. As you can see now, I'm going ahead and spreading the pizza sauce on each of my pizza breads. And for each 30-gram bread slice, I'm going to be adding 20 grams of pizza sauce. Now I like to add my seasonings onto the pizza just so it can marinate into the sauce a little bit on the bottom there. I'm sprinkling my Italian seasoning on top right now, going around with the powdered garlic as well. It's time to layer on the pepperoni onto each of these breads, and I'm going with 3 slices of pepperoni per bread. Of course, if you like more or less, you could adjust it how you like, if you're tracking the calories or not. And in general, with this recipe, you could do a lot of customizations. You don't even have to do the same sauce as me. You could make like a buffalo ranch chicken pizza with the buffalo sauce and the ranch and the chicken pieces. Or a vegetable one. There are so many different types of pizzas that you can make, but whatever you have a craving for or what you get when you get normal pizza, I'm sure this is going to work great on these pizza breads. And lastly, for each of these, we're going to go ahead and throw the cheese on top. Now this is the only inconvenience factor I would say in this recipe compared to just making normal pizzas, is the fact that it's very hard to get the cheese precisely on each of these small bread slices. You definitely don't want any hanging off onto the edge of the pan, because that's going to melt right into the pan and is going to be an absolute pain in the ass to have to scrub your pans with all the melted cheese on there. So that's just a little tip for you if you hadn't considered that yourself. So yeah, that's really the only tip I would give, is to make sure that the cheese is neatly packed onto each of these slices. And that's it, an extremely simple recipe for you. You could throw these into the oven now and continue to bake at 400 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. And these are what they look like when they come out of the oven. You could see that gooey cheese on top and that crispy sourdough crust on the bottom. Makes for a perfect pizza that is going to solve your craving. And you don't even have to cut them from here. You could just go ahead and eat them like the mini pizza slices that they are. Truly a simple recipe, and you could just tell by the length of the video because this is one of my shorter videos on my channel. And I'm glad that it is that way because that's exactly what this is supposed to be. An easy way to fix your pizza craving without the hassle or falling off of your diet or macro target. And speaking of the macros, let's take a look at those for this recipe. Assuming you made it like I did with 6 grams of bread slices, all coming in at 30 grams for a total of 180 grams of bread. And then the ratios can be determined from there. It comes in with 76 grams of protein, 127 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat for a total of 910 calories. A bit high in calories, but definitely not compared to what normal pizza would be, and it's also incredibly high in protein while being low in fat as well. By that, it definitely qualifies to be anabolic with its 10-to-1 protein to fat ratio. I definitely just made that up, but I may or may not be quantifying my anabolic recipes from here on out with that. Anyway, that is it for today's video, anabolic pizza bread. If you did have any questions on anything throughout this video, including how to make it or the macros or anything like that, comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this recipe and found it delicious, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and I will see you next time.